guys, it's Jen from over at worldofjencraft.com, and this is our project for today. So this is a shadow box gift card holder bag thing. I saw the idea yesterday on the Lawn Fawn YouTube channel, and they used a die to create the bag. However, I took one look at it and thought, well, I could create that. So I did. Woo, yay me. So what this is kind of cool, because what this does is you can put a little gift card in the back of your little scene. And yeah, so just kind of a fun way to give a little gift card. So if you would like, I will, if you want to take a look at it, I'll link over to the video that I saw this originally on. It'll be in the description below. So let's get to the supplies, and I will show you how to put it together. It's going to be a little bit long just because there's so many details into putting this together. So the supplies that you will need in order to create this, I did use some classic weave ribbon in the crumb cake for my little gift card, along with some linen thread. The stamp set I used is a little wild, and I used the dies that go along with it. This can be purchased in a bundle. And then the dies that I used for everything else was the layering squares framelits, the stitched shapes framelits, and I'll show you which one we used for this one. It was the oval. And then I did use the layering ovals framelits to create the little handle in my bag. Stampin' blends, I used quite a few, so I will list this out in my video. Memento ink for stamping our images, and then I also used a little bit of lemon lime twist. Now for this particular one, I did go ahead and brush on some Wink of Stella, but for time purposes I may not in this video, but I do think it turned out kind of sweet with some of the images in the Wink of Stella. Again, that's a step that you don't have to do if you prefer not to. And then the last thing I used is the Ticket Tear border punch. A couple other items, you're going to want some strong adhesive. I used the red line, and I also used my Tombow Tombow liquid glue, some glue dots, and a scoring tool. So I use my paper trimmer, but if you have a scoring tool, that is awesome as well. I think that covers all of the supplies that I used. For paper, I used Crumb Cake, and this is 5 3/16 by 6 inches, a 5 3/16 by 4 3/4, scrap to stamp out the images of Whisper White, a 2 3/4 inch scalloped square, a 2 1/4 by 3 1/4 lemon lime twist, and this is where I use the stitched oval. You could always use a regular oval as well, but I like the stitching on this. And then a 3 by 4 piece of paper from the Myths and Magic DSP pack. Let's get started first off with all of the scoring that we need to do. So this is my scoring tool, and I'll grab out my bone folder. So for the larger piece, the 5 3/16 by 6, you are going to score at 1 inch on either side of the portrait. So the 6 inch going up and down is how you're going to want to score that. And then you're going to turn this piece landscape, and we are going to score on the 5 3/16 side here at 1/4 of an inch, and then again at the 1 1/4 as well. For the smaller piece, you're going to keep this going landscape, and you're going to score this at 1 inch, and then I just flip my piece around and I'll score it again at 1 inch on the other side. So I'm going to set my trimmer. Not yet, because I want to take my little 3x4 piece and I'm going to score this one as well. So this one, I want my 1 inch to be down here towards the bottom of my clouds. Now, if you have just a regular piece of paper, you won't need to worry about the orientation, but for this one, I do want it to be at the bottom of this piece. So I'm just going to score this at, and actually I'm just going to score it at the 15/16 instead of the 1 inch, because I found that that fit the bottom of my bag better than going all the way over to the 1 inch. So the 15/16 is where I'm scoring this one at. And then I'm just going to go ahead and fold this up quick and bring my trimmer back out. And this time, hopefully I just knocked my microphone, but hopefully it didn't disturb you guys. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I want my folded edge to be at the top of this. And I'm going to put this at the 1/2 inch mark, and I'm going to take my blade and I'm going to bring it down a 1/2 inch. So I want to cut in through both of my layers. And then I'm going to move this over 3/4 inch so it'll line up with the 1 1/4 side. And I'm going to, again, bring it down 1/2 inch. Now I'm going to flip this, and this was just easier for me to do it this way. And I'm going to repeat that same sequence. So 1/2 inch, and then 3/4 inch, which takes you over to the 1 1/4. And that's going to, all of these are going to come down a 1/2 inch. Now we're done with our trimmer. So what this is going to do is this is going to provide a little shelf for our pieces to sit on. And the easiest way that I found to create this is I'm going to put it so my 1 inch score line or 1 inch piece is down here, and then I'm just going to gently pop out this piece here and this piece here. Now once that is popped out, then I'm just going to come down here and kind of make a little fold line, because I want to make sure that those sit out nicely. So I'll just kind of crease in there, and I'm going to do the same with the top portion as well. So I'm just going to kind of just crease it with my fingers. And then what you're going to have then is this little shelf here. So that's what that's going to look like. I'm going to set this aside for a moment, and let's go ahead and move on to our box. So on the 6 inch one, where we made our little 1/4 inch, you're going to want to bring in and crease those score lines, and then again this one. And I like to just kind of move mine back from the front to the back to make sure that my creases are nice and crisp on this. It just helps with the overall process of putting the box together. And then you're going to do the same with the other piece that we scored. Now once we have these pieces all scored, we're going to take the ticket tear punch, and on this piece it doesn't matter which end we score or punch, but I'm just going to go ahead and punch this out. And then I'm going to bring in this one, and we are going to punch out this very top portion where there are no score lines. Our score lines are down here, and we're going to punch this top portion. Once this is punched, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring out my Big Shot, and we are going to create the box, the shadow part, the opening, and we're also going to create the handles. So let's go ahead, and this is going to be the front of our box. So I'm going to take our square die, and this one is 2 3/8 is the opening. And that is going to just come down here at the bottom of this, and you're going to place it so it is even on the both sides and the bottom. And once that is cut out, we're going to go ahead and cut out our handle. And the oval that I used for the handle is 3/4 of an inch by 1 3/4. And I'm going to place this about centered from either side, and maybe a little bit closer to the top portion than this. So I think that looks about right. I'm going to go ahead and cut that. And the easiest way I found to line up our little handle is I'm going to place this piece on top of the longer one, making sure that our edges at the top are even. And that's just going to get set down here onto our plates. And I'm using the magnetic die or the magnetic platform with this. And then I'm going to put my oval back into that same hole that it was cut out from before. And then keeping everything lined up, I'm just going to run this through and cut that out. Keeping our big shot out, I'm going to go ahead and cut out the frame from the scallops. So using the same square that we cut out the opening in our bag, I'm going to use it to make a little frame from our scallop. So far this is what we have done. And I'm going to set this aside, and I'm also going to set this front piece aside. And let's work on actually making our box. So from this piece, you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut at this 1/4 of an inch just here at the very top. And then I'm going to kind of angle in here and trim that off. Come over here to this other side, just up to that score line, and then angle that as well. So then we just have like this little tab. And then we're going to repeat the same thing on this side. So taking this little piece off and angling it, and then cutting here and angling that as well. Now to make this particular part of the box, we're going to want to assemble this part first, and we're going to put adhesive just on these little tabs here, and I just am going to use my fast fuse for this part of the project. I definitely suggest using a stronger adhesive to assemble the box and everything that is inside of it. So I'm going to put a little bit more fast fuse on that. And then you're going to bring this over, and your little flaps are going to just line up here at the very bottom. And right now we're not worrying about this little piece here. It will come into play when we finish putting our box together. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take this piece that we created, and that is going to get adhered to the inside of our box. So you're going to want to have it folded up like this, and we're going to put adhesive. Again, use a stronger adhesive. My fast fuse is giving me issues. And then all along these little areas here, and then you'll want to also run it along this top edge. My fingers keep getting stuck. Alright, so that's that. And then you're going to flip it over, and this is where you're going to want to use like a thinner adhesive, and again, a strong one, which is why I like this, I think it's called red line tape. I probably should look that up. And this you want just at this very edge, because this is the piece that your gift card is going to fit behind. So you just want your adhesive at the very edge, otherwise your gift card won't fit inside of it. So I'll line it up over here, keeping my adhesive as close to the edge as I could possibly get. And then we'll just trim it off. And now this piece is ready to go into the inside of our box. And this is going to go in, and you'll want to make sure that this edge here is all the way to the back of your box. And it is slightly smaller than the box, so you'll want to kind of make sure that it is in there evenly or centered. And then we'll just go ahead and put this down here. So I'm going to bring out my trimmer once again, and this time I want to take my oval and I'm going to cut this, essentially just cut it in half. So however tall you want your little mound, your grassy mound to be, is how tall you want to cut your oval. So I'm going to choose this one. I think it might be a little bit, not much, but a little bit smaller than the other one. So depending on how much of this you want showing. And then what I'm going to do with this piece, because it is a little bit longer than what our box is I'm just going to line it up with the edge up against here, and I'm going to trim off that little tiny piece. And then I'm going to bring my trimmer down, and I'm going to line our cut end now with the 3-inch mark. And you're just going to trim off just a little tiny bit, but that's going to help sit into our little shadow box a little bit better. For that piece, I went ahead and I just used my liquid glue and stuck it down onto the front of these little tabs. And you want enough on here to hold it. And that's just going to get adhered down onto here. And I'm going to go ahead and set this aside and let that dry. So let's bring out our coloring, and I'll go over what I'm going to use. So for my bear, I'm going to use ivory for his whole entire body first, and then I'm going to bring my light crumb cake over it. My dark crumb cake, I'm going to put in just the areas that I kind of want like a little bit of a shadow, or just to accent some of the lines in here. So I'm going to go ahead and color him in and fast forward through it. So I did bring in a little bit of the dark pink pirouette for his, to make little cheeks and to put into his ears. And our flowers are going to be colored in this light, I always forget the name of it, rich raspberry, and our light pumpkin pie, and our dark pink pirouette. And the center of each one is going to be colored in with the Daffodil Delight, the light one. I used light old olive to also color in the leaves of my flowers, and I'm going to use the dark Daffodil Delight to color in our little beehive. And lastly, our little bees. I'm going to color in each of their little bodies with the dark Daffodil Delight, and I used, I believe, only 5 out of the 6 that I have stamped. And then for the wings, I'm just going to bring a touch of the light smoky slate into the bottom portion of the wing. And then I'm going to bring my color lifter and just kind of blend up, or just kind of make it so it's a faint look to it. So I'm going to bring back my Big Shot. I'm telling you guys, there's a lot of steps to this, but I really think it turned out super cute. And it's a lot of fun being able to create the scenes. So let me grab out my dies, and because this is going to take quite a while, I'm just going to go ahead and cut all of these out and then come back to you when they're done, because this could be another 5 minutes or more. Now that I have all of my little images cut out, I need to cut down my little bear, because this does come as a tag. So this is just a simple little, just kind of trimming up with your scissors around his little ear part. So nothing too terrible. So he's ready. And then I'm going to put some adhesive on the bottom of him. And let's bring our box back in. The one thing that I did forget, because you know me guys, unless you're new to me and you don't know this, so be forewarned here. I swear there's always one thing that I am forgetting to put on my projects, whether it's the sentiment or, you know, ribbon or whatever it is. There's always one thing. And so this is just little grass, and I'm just going to kind of attempt to put some down here on our little oval where our little bear is sitting on. So just for a little kind of extra added dimension, which it's not really turning out that great, but let's see if I can get one last one stamped in there. And that looks kind of like a hot mess, but hopefully it won't matter in the long run. And you know, I probably could have just gotten away with not doing that at all, but there's this little part of me that just wanted to make sure that I added it. So let's go ahead and we're going to start assembling this portion. I think I'm going to bring this up here. So our little bear is just going to go kind of sitting down here a little bit off to the side. And then the flowers, I'm going to use some little tiny glue dots, and for the ones that go in the little background, I'm going to put a little glue dot on the front of the flower so they can adhere to the back of our hill. So I'm going to put one, I don't know, maybe like here, and put the other one kind of just right next to it. And for this one, I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive on the front of where my stem is, actually on the back. So there. All right, now it's kind of all gushing out. So then that's just going to get placed down here. And there's all that lovely glue. All right, so there's our flowers, and then I'm going to take a Stampin' Dimensional and I'm going to put it on the back side of my little beehive. And that is going to get placed kind of in between where the flowers and my little bear are, so probably down about here. And then each of my little bees I'm going to put on a glue dot as well, and I will be back. All right, so I'm just going to put a couple of the bees just on the beehive itself. And then I'm going to put, kind of need to lift this up so I can kind of see it at an angle. So I'm going to put one here, and then this one is going to go kind of hanging off the beehive a little bit, And we're going to put another one kind of up from this one a little. And then lastly, I'm going to put one just on the little bear, kind of covering the one that's already on there. So like that. And I think that is it for our scene. So kind of cute, huh? And if you wanted to, you could go ahead and you could apply your Wink of Stella. You could brush it on at this point, but I'm just going to leave mine with no Wink of Stella because we still have a couple of steps left on this. So I'm going to set this one aside and we're going to bring this one back. And for this one, I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive on the back of my frame and adhere it to the front of there. So I'm just going to use my glue and try not to glop it on there. And I did try to wipe off some of the excess from it just so it wouldn't come out from underneath when I went to go put it on, because I didn't want it to squish out. So this is just going to fit perfectly over that square there. And then the last thing that we're going to do for this, so I want to make sure that my score lines are nice and folded in, but I'm going to add adhesive to this portion. I'll probably put some red line on it, but for this one I'm just going to add my Tombow, my fast fuse, and I was pretty generous with this. And then I'm going to put a little bit of the red line on here as well. So then this piece here is just going to fit over the top of this. So you'll just want to line up your side here, making sure that your top is even and your bottom is even. And then I'm just going to bring it over the top portion of here, which is why I wanted to put some adhesive on it, just to make sure that it stuck down. And then finally, you're going to bring it over to this edge. And our little box is made, our bag is made. How fun is that? So, just because we're kind of a little long on time, I'm going to go ahead and just pull this out of here. So what I did is I just wrapped my ribbon around the card and put a little bit of twine at the top of it. And that is just going to fit into the back portion here. And come on down. So that's what it looks like on the inside and what it looks like on the outside. You can kind of see our little ribbon peeking out there from the handles, and then our shadow box. Now on the Lawn Fawn video that I watched, they took a piece of washi tape because they had thicker, maybe 1-inch washi tape, and they put that at the top of the gift card. So you could do that as well, but I kind of liked the idea of having the ribbon so they could grab it and just pull the gift card out. But you can do whatever suits you and how you would like to put yours together. So that's it. Whew! Oh my goodness. Aha! I hope you guys enjoyed. This was really a lot of fun to put together, and I was pretty tickled with the results. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. There is a little clickable button down here in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, and all you have to do is hover your cursor over it and click subscribe if you have not already. And to those who have subscribed to me, thank you so much. I am just having the time of my life doing this. I look forward to popping on here and showing you guys my latest creations, and of course I always look forward to the amazing comments that I get and the thumbs up. Yay! It's just so much fun. Yeah, I look forward to it each and every time I post. You guys are awesome. So worldofjencraft.com, I will have a printable downloadable PDF with all of the dimensions and the scoring dimensions, plus a picture of the finished project. Now, you will need to come back to the video in order to get the step-by-step instructions, because that's just kind of easiest to do. So thank you again. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will catch you on my next tutorial. Bye.